Hi everyone, my name's Mike Nicklin and I am the sales manager for AMS for the config team, and I'm joined today by Scott Sweeney. Over to you, Scott.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, Scott Sweeney, as Mike said, head of AMS at the config team. Today we're going to talk about the current AMS market and what customers should be looking for in an AMS partner for the kind of medium to long term strategy and period.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about is the level of interaction and the type of AMS partner that you might need, be it more transactional or a more consultative approach. We're also going to discuss the possible extension of an internal team. Lots of customers out there have got their own internal teams with real expertise in SAP, and really building on what we believe to be partnerships rather than relationships. So with that, Scott, what do you think is the main difference between a partnership and a relationship?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that probably every partnership starts off as a relationship. Mm-hmm. You're a customer, you buy a product or you buy services, and it starts off as that relationship. But the partnership piece is where you both invest not just your time, but the commitment from both parties to make it a success. So that doesn't just happen overnight. It's addressing those challenges together, being upfront, being transparent about what's went wrong, how do we resolve it, how do we go forward, how do we continually improve, continually evolve these days, but making sure that you both get skin in the game at the end of the day.
Thanks, Scott. That's some really good insight there. And it does beg the question, what would you rather be in, a relationship or a long-term partnership? Also, as we know in the AMS market, there's lots of value in offshoring, but also you get a different approach with onshoring your resources. What do you think the preference with shoring is for most customers at the moment?
Well, it all depends on a number of factors. There's no one size fits all, actually, Mike. You mentioned onshoring, which is effectively in country. You've got offshoring, which is generally offshore to customers like India, Malaysia, Philippines at low cost, high volume. And then you have nearshoring, which again is more European based, but a lower cost. And a lot of customers out there will maybe look at a blend of those. And for me, that the right approach is effectively right shoring. What actually works for you? What gives you the best value for what your needs are at that time and to match your business operations? So cost is a big factor. It always is, has been, always will be. The volume of tickets, whether it be level 1, level 2, level 3. The more complex issues, you might need more consultative approach in that aspect. But actually, the right shoring aspect isn't just what fits for the next 5 years. Onshore could fit okay just now, but you might acquire businesses over the next couple of years, and in 3-5 years' time, you need more offshore, onshore blended. So the right shoring aspect is making sure what works for you as an operational. It's not just, don't just drive it through cost, because it's not always going to be the best winner. The initial cost that's given is always a nice highlight. There we go, we'll take that. But you may pay more overall. What you're looking for is budget certainty, get flexibility in what you get from that service, and make sure it hits your operations. Most companies these days don't need just Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. They don't work these operations anymore, especially in supply chain. So if you have global operations in multiple regions, then you may have to look at having a blend. But if you need more consultative, more complex, because you've got a really good internal COE team who triage, resolve maybe 60, 70, 80% of your own tickets, the partner you need then has got to have that consultative expertise to give you the right advice, not just do as they're asked, but give you the right advice of what's the best thing to do, whether it be best practice, whether it be a solution they've developed before for a similar organisation, or just give you that partnership extension of the team that you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. What I picked up there really was the word flexibility. with your AMS partner. Could you expand on that for me, please?
I'd be very surprised if customers can tell you what they need from an AMS partner in the next 2, 3, 5 years. The next kind of 2 to 5 years are going to be very disruptive in the market, probably the most disruptive it's ever been. There's going to be changes in personnel within their teams, changes in the market, people implementing RISE where they go on-prem, then cloud, lots of private cloud going on. There's going to be a whole load of different obstacles in the way that's going to have an impact on how you manage that partner going forward. But we talked earlier on about the partnership, and this is why it's key that you have a partnership as opposed to a relationship over the next 5 years, because you have to work together as a team to make sure you address those challenges and adapt accordingly. So the flexibility comes into it. So important. There's around flexibility around the contracts. It could be around staff augmentation. It could be around the services that we deliver. There's going to be a lot of agile, short-term services in the next 3 to 5 years that will be required for customers, whether our customers moving to S4 and they need legacy support for that 9-12 months of the project, whether they have another major project on the way and their internal team gets taken away and they need backfill for that, but it's just for that 3-6 months. There's going to be lots of that, and that's why when you work with a partner that is a true partner and an extension of your team, then you can truly hit those success criteria together.
So yes, Scott, as you say, the next few years there's going to be a lot of disruption in the SAP market, and I think we've already covered that. It's clear that to navigate through that disruption, you're going to need flexibility, and you're going to need a true AMS partner. And I think one role that is key to that is the role of the service delivery manager.
Yeah.
So what are the key benefits of having a designated service delivery manager as part of your AMS partnership?
For me, it's such a vital role. It's even more so now. Going forward, we talked about the flexibility and the partnership and what's going to happen over the next 3-5 years. That SDM role is going to be so vital to that customer. They're actually the customer advocate within the partner. They're the voice of the customer within the partner. They make sure they get their voice heard, their priorities delivered, and they make sure the changes within that flexible arrangement get addressed quickly. They're responsible for the governance across all services, whether it be technical services, AMS services, or even software. That's the key. I would almost term them as the operational account manager. They're there day to day, working hand in hand with the customer and making sure the customer not just gets what the customer wants, but it comes back the other way. They get the best advice and they get the information and I suppose the consultative approach back the way as well. If something happens within an industry or within the software that we know that customer needs to know, whether there's a change in maybe legislative policy or something that affects that retail or that supply chain organisation, we want to go back to that customer, and it's the SDM that drives those conversations. The SDM also is vital in making sure there's a seamless transition from project to BAU operations into AMS. The customer then is just working from project, move from hypercare straight into the AMS operations, and that SDM will manage that relationship, make sure the AMS team are introduced very early, whether it be hypercare, floor walking, etc., but also make sure they manage the transition through the transition methodology, make sure that it builds that foundation for the support and AMS services going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. The role of the service delivery manager sounds like a real pivotal role from our perspective. Yep. But what would you say is the customer's view of an SDM?
The first thing I would say is I would recommend that all customers have an equivalent role in their side. Yep. So they almost work hand in hand with the partner SDM, because they together can work in that partnership to ensure success. I think that's one of the strongest partnerships that you'll see between a partner and a customer is between the SDM and their equivalent on their side. Do not underestimate the power of an SDM within a partner for that customer. being that customer voice, driving their priorities, making sure that their customer is seen as number one, even though there'll be some conflict that way from between SDMs. And yes, there'll be healthy conflict between the priorities, between the AMS team and the actual SDM team. But I'm happy to see that conflict. I'm happy to see those challenges. It means customers are pushing us to do better, to improve, to evolve, to deliver services at the highest level. Yeah, that's the only way we improve as an organisation, and our partners deliver what customers want.
Like you say, the SDM almost becomes the customer's representative within the AMS organisation.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, it's not been unknown for SDMs to go native and almost feel that they're part of the customer, and that's not such a bad thing, to be honest, because that shows me that they are fully ingrained and immersed in that customer's business, their business processes, and actually what they're trying to achieve.
Where multiple services and multiple modules and multiple SAP systems are concerned, we often hear the phrase with regards to partnerships and AMS as one throat to choke, as in the customer wants one endpoint to complain to, if you like, if something goes wrong. Do you think that's still the case in the AMS market today, or do you think there's a place for best of breed AMS partners?
It's probably back to, it's a good question, mate. It's probably back to the other point around the one size fits one, and about what's right for you as an organisation. I mean, every partner has a sweet spot, whether it be mid-market, low large enterprise, they have that sweet spot where, and again, it will all come down to the requirements of that customer. The high volumes of level 1 tickets, or the low volumes of level 3 complex tickets that the customer might require. It just depends on who the customer is and what their size themselves are, their operations. But yeah, the one throat to choke, I see it a lot, and it's still going on with a lot of the global SIs at the moment. But these days, I would expect most customers have multiple partners. No customer these days has end-to-end SAP. They have maybe majority SAP, but they'll have other integrated solutions that come in and feed into SAP. But there's also an argument for having, as you mentioned, the best of breed. If you've got an operation where, for instance, supply chain or HR is the core of your solution, but your current partner isn't an expert in those areas, well, why wouldn't you have your digital core of AMS with that existing partner, but you would then also have an additional partnership with the best of breed to get the best out of the solution that underpins your business.
So we touched on best of breed partners there, Scott. What do you think are the drivers when choosing such a partner in terms of their expertise and their experience?
You mentioned best of breed, and it's a really good point, because what customers have to look at is which area of their solution underpins their business, the priority. If something doesn't happen in that area, how it affects their business. So supply chain, natural one that we'll look at. Warehousing operations, if you can't get labels on your products or products out the door, stops your whole business. You're losing tens, hundreds of thousands a day. So it makes sense that you might look at a partner that is the expert in making sure that piece of your business, you mitigate the risk at all costs to make sure that is fully operational. You may stay with an existing partner you've had for long term, global SI, whatever, for your digital core, FI, SD, MM, etc. But you may reach out to a best of breed partner for HR, success factors, logistics in terms of EWM, even some niche areas like Vistex and Ariba, etc. So there is a market for having multiple partners out there. The element around that as well is having, if you stick to this one throat to choke that we spoke about earlier, there's an element that complexity can settle in, that the customer just can't go anywhere else, they can't do anything without that partner. There's such a dependency on that partner. But if you have multiple partners in the mix, it keeps all partners on their toes, making sure they deliver excellence at all times. Yeah, so you could have a mix of the standard modules being covered by, let's call it a generic standard SI AMS partner, but with a mix of best of breed and expert niche independents or boutiques that could cover the key elements that underpin your business. I mean, what really should drive that decision is first of all what I mentioned around the dependency on what's the crucial areas within your business. But don't just listen to what partners say. Talk to multiple customers. Look for partners that have got references. Go and speak to those references. Don't just rely on what a partner's telling you that the customer said. There's many best of breed partners out there that will have references, that will set up a reference call, that will set up a reference meet, and you can go and meet that customer and understand how that partner works with them. I think there's an element that you see that one throat to choke, and that includes taking their enterprise support as well as their AMS all to one partner because it gives that all in one, eggs in one basket, one throat to choke, whatever you want to call it. But I do believe you're losing out in key expertise across the industry now, and even more so now that you need to understand not just SAP, but the business process, the solution, and the actual output of that customer. Every customer is different. Yeah, they might have underpinning business processes around whatever their industry they're working on, but their output, their KPIs, what they're trying to achieve is all very different. And having a partner that understands that in the depth that you need to fully resolve and enhance their solution is vital.
Scott, we've talked quite a lot about the disruption within the SAP market.
Yep.
That's going to be happening, or has been happening, and going to be happening over the next few years. Within that, is there a danger that some customers might just look for short-term solutions and not concentrate on the longer-term possibilities?
There's a very big danger. I think a lot of customers are a little bit in limbo at the moment. They don't really know what the next move is. There's an element around the deadlines of 27 and 30 around S4 that is hanging over them like a cloud. But there's still many years between those deadlines that they should be looking at the medium plus long-term aspects of that. So my example might be a customer might see, I'll move to that partner there because it's cheaper cost and I'm getting tickets done and everything's all okay. But actually, you might have that solution for the next 5 years if you extend to the 2030 deadline. So why wouldn't you look at a partner who can sweat your assets, get a return on investment you've invested millions in over the years, right? And you're not moving for another 5 years. So why can't you get the best out of that solution you've got just now? And then you have a better place when you do migrate to the next solution, then you're in a better place to understand what you can actually get out of your solution and actually improve business processes, maybe improve productivity, and overall, actually something that's missed out with a lot of customers is actually improve business user satisfaction. Mm-hmm. So long-term partnerships ensure that both parties have skin in the game. It's all about looking at, as I mentioned, the 2030 deadline. So there could be some customers on for the next 5 years using their ECC solution. But for a long-term partnership, you want to be looking at, well, how can we reduce the break-fix issues, introduce innovation, continually evolve and improve what we're delivering just now, because it shouldn't just stand still because you're planning a migration in 2, 3, 5 years' time. Let's get the most out of your solution just now. And even when you do plan to go to that migration to S4, whatever aspect you want to do it in, you need to think about business continuity. What about legacy support? Who's going to support that 9 or 12 months while your internal team are on that project? And actually, it's vital that team are on that project, because one of the biggest downfalls of many S4 projects that we see from an AMS perspective is user adoption. The amount of, or the volume of tickets in the first 6 to 12 months after an S4 project is off the scale due to not having the correct internal team involved in the project and actually feeding that through to users. That it's not just an upgrade, it's a total way of change of working within their SAP and their day-to-day operations. So actually having partners that can do that long-term vision, but involve you in kind of short-term agile services is vital for the, I suppose, the long-term value and success of your solution.
Customers are going to be embarking on these projects, and you're right, their internal team are going to want to be involved in those projects.
Yeah.
Of course they are, and it's likely best for the customer that internal team goes on that project. But while that project is ongoing, there's still the day-to-day. There's still the system in place that needs to be supported. So that legacy support is critical.
It is, and you want someone that knows your solution, knows your business processes, know what your business is all about to do that. You need that trusted advisor, that partner to come in and look at those short-term agile solutions. And a really good point around that project team wanting to be on there. There's so many advantages to that. There's a skills shortage just now around S4, right? So having that team shadowing, being part of that project, being implemented by whoever it may well be, is crucial for ensuring that organisation has those skills in-house. It's also crucial, as I mentioned earlier, about the user adoption. It's such a vital part. It's not just change management, but it's ensuring that user, that business end user, who's at the coalface every single day, understands how their business processes have changed. The output of that business may not have changed and what they're trying to achieve, but how you deliver that and understand that and implement that through SAP will change and will improve. But you know what happens. Most people out there, they're not keen on change. But if you lead them, you drive them the right way, you make sure they're guided, advised, enabled, then they'll definitely ensure that they take that on board. We've mentioned lots of topics today. There's actually a lot more we could discuss. And if any customers, as you say, reach out, have a chat, but not just reach out to us, reach out to other partners, other customers, what they've done, what their experiences are, because there's no one right answer for everyone. As I mentioned before, there's no one size fits all. Everyone has their own unique areas of priorities and what they need to achieve. Everyone's got a different journey of what they're trying to achieve. And as you said, over the next 3-5 years, going to be very disruptive and things are going to have to evolve, be pretty flexible and agile. So, just ask people's experiences, ask different partners, join up, ask us even for some advice. We're more than open to talk to you about what our experience is and other aspects of it. But there's also a lot more customers can do internally themselves. Look at what you're doing just now before you go out and ask people. Understand what your business priorities are, what your strategy is, and understand what you actually need from partners going forward.
Thanks, Scott. We've covered a lot of topics today. We've covered the partnerships, relationships with AMS providers. We've covered what we consider to be right-shoring, or our version of onshoring, nearshoring, offshoring, etc. We've covered the expertise that is required from an AMS partner, and also the importance of maybe not just concentrating on the short term, but looking at the longer term solutions in amongst a really disruptive SAP market at the moment. So with that, if anybody out there would like to talk to myself or Scott about any of these topics in any more detail, then please get in touch.